Are you aware this meeting is being recorded?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to In the Library with
Marsha,
and Adrian. And today we have with us special guest.
Barbara Krueger.
Hello, Barbara.
Welcome, Barbara. Thank you. So typically I would like you to just I know a lot about you and all about you, but I would love to have you introduce yourself to our listeners and let us know what position you hold at the library. Just tell us a little bit about you. Okay. Well, we're not going to share everything that Marsha knows about me on today's podcast. My job at the library is community outreach. So I have the privilege of meeting with community partners throughout the county and telling them about the great resources the library has to offer. And there's so many hidden gems that we have that I get to explain to people. Part of community outreach also includes overseeing the bookmobile. So that's one of the things that I get to do along with our amazing technicians, Anne and Mary. And before that, I worked in youth services. So I've been at the library not quite 20 years and have enjoyed every moment. Yay, I love that. That always seems to be the consensus of anyone who's worked here, that they love it. Every day is different. Like, what is your favorite thing about working for the library? My favorite thing I was going to say is every day is different because I do enjoy the variety. But I think probably the most meaningful thing about what I do is that I believe libraries make a difference in people's lives. And I'm always really proud when I'm out talking to people and I can say the library has something for everyone. And with 100% confidence, I believe that's true. It doesn't matter what your interest is, what your age level is, what your comfort level is with technology. We have something for you. That's my motto too. Something for everyone. Almost every day, right? Almost every day. Yep. I always say go to mymcls.com, look at the events calendar. You can search by, for kids events, by age or by type. If you want to crochet, anything. Yes, I love that. For me too, also personally, I also love the friendships and the relationships that have come out of the library for me working here too. So absolutely. I think Monroe is a small community and the library is a small subset of that. And I think I say this often, I work with 149 of the nicest people. I love that. And also to back to the bookmobile just a little bit, you've actually that's kind of been your part of your baby since its inception. I don't know. I guess I don't really know. Adrian, do you have questions you want to fire now? I don't really know if we want to talk more about something specific like the bookmobile or just anything.
So that our listeners are aware, you said you work in outreach, correct?
Correct.
Just so that we can figure out how far your reach is. Do you know how long your arms are?
Well, most arms are a yard long, so maybe 6 feet. I like it. I also feel like your arm from your wrist to your elbow is the same size as your foot. I don't know if that's true. Somebody has shared that before, and I don't know. I should fact check that up here in the reference department. Metaphorically, my outreach is 150,000 people that live in Monroe County, but I think my physical arm's probably only 5 or 6 feet long. I love that. I love that you're like, anyone who lives in Monroe County is under your jurisdiction. That's great.
Now, spot of clarification for my own sake. You work with the bookmobile, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Mobile. Is it like a car or is it a thing that like hangs over a crib?
That is a question I don't think I've ever been asked before, Adrian. And I knew coming into this that while I am interviewed often as part of my position, I knew I'd be hearing questions today that I have never fielded before. So here's one of them. Yes, the bookmobile that I manage offers books for children and young adults, and it is inside a van. So it's literally a mobile library, a library on wheels. In addition to the bookmobile that I supervise, which provides children's services, we also have mobile services for seniors as part of a different branch of outreach. And that vehicle, also not a mobile over a crib, that vehicle services nursing homes, adult activity centers, and homebound residents throughout the county as well. Our outreach extends for all ages as well. Absolutely. There really is something for everybody. Yeah, I agree. And we even come to you.
Just a word of caution to any listeners who are now inspired. If you're going to hang books on a mobile over a child, please make sure they are small and light books.
And not in a vehicle. So you've been a part of this bookmobile project basically since inception. So or pretty close to it. I mean, and I think that's such a fabulous journey. We probably don't have time to cover all of that right now, but I didn't know if you wanted to share a little bit about the history of the bookmobile. Sure. So the Monroe County Library System offered services to the county that previously ended in the mid 80s due to budgetary constraints. And then we went an entire generation without offering mobile services for children. Next year, we'll celebrate our 5-year anniversary. So almost 5 years ago,
we were able to provide this bookmobile and our services as they exist now, thanks in large part to a bequest from the family of Corey Lake. So Corey was an employee of the library who had a tragic accident and perished. And to honor her memory, her family donated $100,000 to the Monroe County Library system for a bookmobile. And in my mind, that would have been enough for a bookmobile. I've only ever purchased cars. I've never purchased a custom vehicle that was designed to provide this kind of service. We actually needed to raise about $250,000 for the bookmobile. So we had that generous bequest from the Lake family, and then we reached out to the community, whose response was overwhelming, from individuals who donated $20 at a time to put a book on the bookmobile, to fabulous pillar partners in the community who donated $20,000 and up, such as the Lazy Boy Foundation, ProMedica Regional Hospital of Monroe, and the Community Foundation of Monroe County, to everyone in between. The response has just been overwhelming. It was easy to raise funds for something that everyone believed in. Everyone thinks it's important to put books in the hands of children, and I'm certainly no exception. So we launched the Bookmobile on National Bookmobile Day. In case you didn't know, I think that's one of my new favorite holidays. We launched on April 18th, 2019.
Here at the Ellis Library.
April 10th.
Was it? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't have the date in front of me.
That's okay.
It was National Bookmobile Day, and it was in April, and it was 2019. So our goal that first year was to try to reach 500 families. I thought, that'd be a good goal and something that we could probably attain. So from April until December 31st of that first year, we actually reached more than 5,000 families. So like I said, the response from the community has been overwhelming. The efforts of our staff have also been exponentially more than I could have ever expected.
I love that it was 10 times as many too. Yeah, that's amazing. I have a mad love for everything related to the Bookmobile. The original Bookmobile was one of my very first library experiences with Janet Kish. So she would drive and come, and I was young and we didn't have a library that we really went to. So my mom was friends and we would go see her, and she would bring books, especially for me or especially for other people in the community. She knew exactly what everyone wanted. And it was so personal. It was honestly my first experience and first love of the library was the Bookmobile. With Janet Kish at my church when I was young.
Well, then you'll be pleased to know that Ann and Mary continue that high level of curated service.
Yeah.
So as they visit daycares and schools around the county, as they visit daycares and schools around the county, where they're able to develop relationships with people, because those are recurring visits. So let's say they go back every month to the same location. They also learn the preferences of their patrons and are able to provide those kind of customized experiences.
Yeah, and they do. So my first experience there was Whiteford Wesleyan Church, which is also the Growing Tree Daycare, which is one of their stops now too. So it kind of, sort of come full circle for me too. And with Corey Lake, back to her family, I had the pleasure of getting to work with her. I trained with her. I worked with her in several departments. So
you worked with me at Doors.
Yeah. So I love that. I love that connection too. I thought that was all such a bittersweet, obviously. I mean, it was a sad period of time, but it was also such a nice, amazing tribute. That family was wonderful. And I just feel like, I think Corey would be so proud with what is her legacy that she left. She just wanted to be a part of the library and make a difference in lives. And that has carried on, and that is exactly what has happened. Absolutely. So I love everything. I love everything about that story. So it's wonderful for me too, to know about that. So I also love that you reached 10 times your expected goal, even just in that first year alone.
So numbers are not my strong suit. And I had asked Marsha before this podcast if I was going to be asked for numbers or statistics, because I can bring that information with me, but off the top of my head, I don't have as much confidence in the numbers as I do in the words that I say. But I know that year we reached 5656.
Oh, funny.
So 5,656 people.
That's cool. Numbers are not my strength either. We're librarians, not mathematicians. So numbers are never my strength, but that's a fun number that would be fun to remember, and really just to blown away by the amount of the reach out. And can you go on the events calendar and see where the Bookmobile will be? How can you find the Bookmobile?
Absolutely. So if you go to mymcls.com and search the calendar, as we mentioned before, you can search by location. The Bookmobile is a location, and then you can see their schedule of events up there. If you want to request a Bookmobile stop, you're welcome to email us. We'd be happy to make arrangements as it fits in our schedule. We do our very best to accommodate all of the requests. But there's one vehicle and two staff members that I manage for that. So if you want to do that, you can email bookmobile@monroe.lib.mi.us.
That's wonderful. And I'm a living proof that that is true. There are many times, though it's really nice to be able to schedule things in advance and work in the schedule. I personally have known of instances where you guys have made it available to work, within great constraints. So that's also a wonderful thing too. Again, Bookmobile's here for everyone. So
absolutely.
So thank you for that. Adrian, got any questions over there?
Do you do birthday parties?
Oh, so it's funny you should ask that. We attended an ABOS conference, the Association of Bookmobiles and Outreach Services, this fall. And one of the things that other libraries around the country so library outreach vehicles from around the country came to this conference. So it was a great networking opportunity with our peers. There are libraries that rent out their bookmobiles for birthday parties. And while that is not something we're going to do, we did take that idea and kind of think about how we could use that in a way that's appropriate for our community and our situation. And if the opportunity were to present itself where there was some kind of community-wide raffle or contest, perhaps a behind-the-scenes tour of the bookmobile or a private visit from the bookmobile might be a possible offering.
So, or on the birthday party of the bookmobile, or
we have great plans for next year for our 5-year anniversary.
Ooh, that's a nice little spoiler alert there. So that's fun. But yes,
here's another one. Our 5-year anniversary coincides with the 90th anniversary of the Monroe County Library System. So lots of fun things happening across the board.
Lots of birthdays being celebrated and celebrations. Mm-hmm. That's great.
The other thing I wanted to say, and I shared this with our board of trustees last month. So I was unable to attend the October board meeting because we were at the conference. But in November, I gave them a summary of how the conference went and I took a moment to just brag on how spectacular I think the bookmobile is. And I'm happy to share that with you here too. Every month, our library system collects statistics on how many people attend events, how many items are circulated, and that information is broken down by location, time of day. I mean, there's all kinds of very detailed information if you want to drill down into that. But I just took a cursory look at the attendance numbers and circulation statistics. And at that time, so the numbers that were available up until that date, the bookmobile was in the top 5 branches for circulation and the top 3 branches for attendance.
Yay.
So
yeah, that's so wonderful.
I can't tell you how proud I am of the staff and the services they're providing the community. There's a great need here, and I'm very proud of the way that Ann and Mary serve that need. They're very customer service oriented. They want everyone to have a positive library experience, and it's a pleasure to be a part of that team.
I concur. I love Anna Mary as well. I also love, I would piggyback on top of what you're saying, and they're very flexible. They work a lot of nights and weekends to accommodate these events, and they're just great. They're just great about always like, yeah, we can make that happen. And it's a wonderful opportunity. I've had the pleasure of being able to fill in once in a while too and meet them there or attend some sets. It's such a wonderful thing. So if I would recommend to anyone, if the bookmobile is going to be out and about, to definitely come and pay a visit and say hi, meet the wonderful staff, and just kind of see what it's all about, because it's definitely a great thing. And I love that it's that so popular within the system. And again, working off of 2 people, right? So not only are they the 2 or 3 people that you see up front, but they're also doing all the behind the scenes stuff with it too. The loading and the unloading, so I mean, we're talking to be one of the highest branches without a building. We always used to say that about the senior outreach as well. It's the buildingless branch that is really, putting in the work for it. So that's such an amazing thing.
I say it all the time. Ann and Mary do all the hard work. I just supervise.
You get to reap the rewards. I know.
I get to tell people how awesome they are.
But that's important too. The promotion of it is important too, and to be able to field those calls. So I think it's wonderful.
I will say, and we've enjoyed having you on the bookmobile with us. If you are listening to this and you are an MCLS staff member and you're interested in subbing on the bookmobile, if you want to see joy on the faces of children and you have the permission of your supervisor, reach out to me and we'll see what we can do to accommodate you.
Yes, and I highly recommend that, because like I said, that is a great experience, and it's wonderful. And it's a little bit kind of unlike what we're used to, because if you work in a smaller branch that maybe doesn't have a high traffic area, it's kind of nice. It's a little bit all at once, depending on the event you're at. If you're servicing a school with multiple classes, you could have 30 kids at once, or a park. And again, yeah, it is just for me, it's not just the books. It's also just to see the kids come on there and say, wow. And parents, it's not just kids. It's the wow factor. I love to see people come up on there and just kind of be blown away, because the outside and the inside, don't always match up, right? You just see it driving around. It looks like all, the rest of our library vehicles. And then you get right, but you get inside and you were like, oh my goodness, yeah. So I think it's the wow factor. It is. I am also very customer service driven. So that's important to me. And I remember Nancy Culper, our prior director, used to say, when in doubt, hand it out about a library card or a book. And I have firmly stood by that. I mean, most of us do, but we are trying to get to yes in any way possible about getting things for people.
So one of the ways the Bookmobile does that is unique, that is probably not possible in a typical physical library branch. So as you know, all the items that MCLS circulates are free. Books, movies, music, magazines, doesn't matter. We'd like to give it to you. We'd like to give it to you for free. So when I tell you that the Bookmobile also has a free cart, it sounds a bit counterintuitive. The Bookmobile can hold 1,800 books, 1,800 items, circulating material. So we have books from board books to young adult. But we also keep a cart in the back that is comprised of weeded or donated books that you don't need to borrow. They're yours to keep. This is especially important. We're in public events. Let's say we're at the Jim Gill concert at St. Mary's Park, and people are coming from all over who may or may not be eligible for a Monroe County library system card. So to get a library card, as you know, you need to live, work, or go to school in Monroe County. If you've driven up from Toledo just for this concert, you are not eligible to have a library card, but we never, ever want someone to leave without a book if they want a book. So they can, from this curated collection, they can take a book, it's theirs to keep. And as far as I know, everyone has left the Bookmobile with a smile on their face.
Yeah, I love that. I knew that was the thing. So I'm glad you touched on it, because I do think that's so important to not deprive, every kid except you gets a book today,
Right.
So
we're not doing that.
Yeah. So it's really, and I've seen them in action. I've seen them doing that at a camp or at a different place where that situation has come up, and they've worked really hard to either be able to get them a card or to be able to accommodate them with a book that they liked of their choosing.
Oh, our preference is always to give someone a card, which you can do. Like they have the capability to make a card, place holds on the Bookmobile. They have the technology to do that, but that doesn't help the 4-year-old who's, there, and everybody else got to leave with a book, and, little Johnny might have been left out. So we work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. The other thing that might be worth mentioning, but may be a bit off topic, is our Spanish collection. So libraries and library collections should reflect their community. So most of the items the Monroe County Library System has in our collection, of more than 575,000 items, are in English, because our county is predominantly an English-speaking county. The next most popular language in Monroe County is Spanish. So on the Bookmobile, where one of our technicians has background in the Spanish language, we have a pretty strong concentration of Spanish materials as well. And then we partner specifically with outreach organizations such as Monroe Puentes to provide these titles in Spanish to native Spanish speakers or bilingual families in our community. So just a shout out to that as well.
¿Tú hablas español?
I don't know what the word is for no.
No, it's coincidentally, it's no. No in every language. Oh yeah, I did know a little bit about that and about the history. I know they had, she has also done different, like a migrant camp, for example, and different things like that. So there's too much to cover right on here, but it keeps popping in my mind, all the great things that we could share. Adrian, do you have any questions so far?
Are there any plans to start a Monroe County Library System racing team?
So,
well, the bed race, I guess we did the bed race in the past.
That's true. Not only do I not think that there are any plans to have a Monroe County Library System vehicle racing team, I can tell you that our staff went to a driver safety school. So the Bookmobile is 24 feet long, it's a Sprinter van. So it's a commercially made vehicle that's been customized to provide library services, but it can be a bit intimidating to someone who is used to driving just a regular passenger car. So before we started providing services to the public, all of us, myself and both staff members, went to this. It's a truck driving school. Yep. And I will tell you, the easiest way to get over being intimidated by driving the Bookmobile is to parallel park it next to a semi truck. So it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
And not only do I not think we're going to race, I think that Anne and Mary are exceptionally, as are all of our drivers, following the protocols laid out by the library system to make sure that we are providing safe service to our community.
We could have a vehicle race. We could pit them against Lee, for example. I guess that's not in the future, Adrian. No racing at the Monroe County Library System. Only safe driving.
Understandable, but disappointing.
Maybe you should look into that, Adrian. Start a racing team. Oh, that's really funny. We typically ask, what are you reading now? We kind of talked about this the other day. Is there anything you want to share that you're currently reading? Or you could also talk about, we were mentioning using Hoopla and things like that. What are you listening to or reading?
Okay. In broad strokes, it's very hard for me to pinpoint one book or one author. I will say this year I personally set myself a challenge to read 150 books. One of my friends and coworkers last year read 100 books. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I want to do that too. So about 2 weeks ago, I finished my challenge. I actually read 151 books by mid-November and was really pleased. So this year I'm going to say I read for quantity. I don't know if I said this part out loud. The books that I read, they're like Hallmark movies, except they're books.
Right.
I enjoy Regency romance. It always ends with happily ever after. The scenery is beautiful. The etiquette and the manners are beautiful. And I like that. But it's truly like reading, it's formulaic. It's like reading a Hallmark movie over and over. But I enjoyed that. And I met my goal. Next year, I'm going to read for quality. And the same friend and coworker and I are going to work our way through the Harvard classics.
Oh, nice.
Which I am super excited about.
Yes. Well, that's amazing. And that's, again, like you said, I feel like we read all kinds of things here at the library, because I would like to say, like, I like murder mysteries and this and that, but then, now I'm finding I read a lot of nonfiction and it's all over the place. You were doing that book club. I don't know. Do you want to share that on here too as well? Your Women in Leadership book club?
So
I love that.
Oh, thanks. I am hosting a Women in Leadership book club that meets here at the Ellis Library on the third Thursday of the month at noon. And it's a collection of professional women, although everyone is invited, whether you are a professional woman or you want to be supportive of professional women, talking about issues that relate to success in the workplace.
I love that. Now, will that be continuing to next year as well? So it's already December.
So we wrapped up our last session in November. We decided to take December off. We will meet again in January.
I thought it was continuing on, but calendar. So I wasn't sure. I wanted to ask you about that. I love that too. I love that book club. I always say we have so many. I think there's 50 book clubs around the Monroe County Library system. I think there is a book club for everyone as well.
There is.
If you want a Women in Leadership or an I Love a Mystery or a cookbook or just any, just the facts, that's a nonfiction book club. That's at Bedford. So if you go to mymcls.com and you check out the book clubs too, I feel like and even if I have so many people who say I hate reading or I don't read, but even just come to a book club, I feel like reading the book is not a requirement. This isn't school, so I feel like, oh wait, you don't agree with that? I always tell people you can come without reading the book because maybe you want to hear what other people say about it and maybe that'll spark you to want to read it. So I think you're welcome to come and attend and be part of the program.
We are certainly inclusive. And while this is a podcast and you people can't see my face, I made a face when Marsha said you don't have to.
You tripped me up. I'm like, I tell everyone you don't have to read the book.
It's just funny to me because yesterday I filled in for a younger book club, a juvenile book club, where there was a scheduling conflict and I was going to fill in on a day's notice for this book club. And the title they were reading was The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
And when the person asked if I could do that, she said, have you read the book? I said, yes, but it was 100 years ago. But I'm still happy to do your book club. I'll be there with bells on the next day. Did I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe overnight? I sure did. Was I going to show up and not have read the book? No, I wasn't. But Marsha's right. The library is inclusive. You're welcome. Our events are free and open to the public, and you're welcome to come. And I hadn't thought about coming to a book club where I had, as an attendee, where I had not read the book, to hear other people's perspectives on that, because that's my favorite part of any book club. I read things and I see them through my own lens, but good literature, as we always say, should be a window and a mirror. So in a book, you should be able to reflect, like it should serve as a mirror to reflect on your own self, clarify things that you see about yourself or see yourself in there. And then also a window to a world that is different than what your experiences might have been, or perspectives that might be different, or cultural aspects that are different than what you've experienced yourself. So
I love that. In some of my past book clubs, some of my favorites are when they half of them love it and half of them hate them, because I love the different opinions. And so many times I've been in a book club where people have not finished the book, and then after our discussion they'll say, well, now I want to finish it, and I'm like, well, now you know the ending. So to me it feels like you ruined it now, but it didn't ruin it to them. It just re-sparked their interest. So I have told people, even if you don't finish the book, or even if you've not read it or don't like it, maybe you'll come and maybe you'll love next month's book, or maybe the book club's not for you, So but there is always, there's a program for everyone, there's a book club for everyone. So yeah, I wanted to share about that too. All right, Adrian, what about you?
I have a question.
Oh yeah.
So you read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yes.
If they were on a Survivor type game show, Would the lion, the witch, or the wardrobe win?
I will always believe the lion wins.
Yeah.
Every time. That act of sacrificial love, in my opinion, conquers any kind of darkness that might exist out there.
How about you, Adrian? Who's winning it for you?
My money's on the wardrobe.
That's great. That's funny. I love that you just had that experience too. Isn't that fun? And again, it's variety, something different every day, right? Here you are. I mean, we call them other duties as assigned around here. So here you are, Outreach Bookmobile, and you are running a youth book club, facilitating a youth book club as a felon. And I feel like that we just wear so many hats. And I also think that's such a great opportunity for people, who work here, that if you, like you said, if you're listening and you're an employee, there are so many opportunities for you that you may not even know about. Or if you're listening and you would eventually maybe like to pursue a career as a substitute or a clerk or start as a position at the library, it is a great place to work. So I welcome everyone to not just come to the library, but really to make it their own, however that is. I always say, this is your library. These are your books, your bookmobile. So I love to encourage people to make it what they want it to be. And I always say, if you have something that you think like, oh, I crochet, and you want to do a crochet program, like we are always open for ideas to host, to facilitate programs. Yeah,
absolutely.
I love to make it their own.
I think that the library is incredibly responsive to the needs of the community, which is one of the great things about being a library system with 16 branches. So you have your own personal neighborhood, cozy library that a lot of people identify, oh, that's my library. Mm-hmm. But also to be part of a system where the resources can be leveraged and greater access provided, I think is pretty phenomenal. The other thing about doing a variety of things that you mentioned, people often say that happy to help is my middle name. So hi, I'm Barbra, happy to help Krueger.
I like that.
And I would say the same thing is true of you too. And most everyone that I work with, that if a need arises, someone is going to step in. I usually, the bulk of my work is actually attending meetings, which is not maybe very entertaining for a podcast. But one of the meetings I attend regularly is a youth services meeting. And anytime someone new joins the group as a staff member, Stephanie Winterstein always goes around and we introduce ourselves and say something we like about the job. And every time my answer to the new people is, because I worked in youth services for maybe a dozen years before I took on this position, the programs, the ideas that they're sharing with you, those are great resources. The best resource that we have to offer you are the people around this table. The library, and I think that's true, not just in youth services with youth services staff as a support for each other, but the library staff as a support to the community. Our technology is outstanding. Our books are phenomenal. I mean, people with impressive degrees spend a lot of time putting just the right items in our collection. But for me, the best part of a library is always going to be the people. That personal connection, that warm welcome. We provide a lot of materials that people can get in other formats. And I tell people, we're like Audible, but we're free. We're like Netflix, but we're free. We're like your Kindle, but we're free. And that's true. And our materials are on par with those services, I believe. But what you're not getting on any of those other platforms is the person who greets you at the desk, who answers the phone when you call, the reference department feels the most random of questions.
Sure do.
So I think I have thought for a very long time that our people are our most valuable resource. And I think I will retire from here telling everyone that our people are our most valuable resource.
I agree with that. I'm an old curmudgeon, and I feel like that's becoming a little bit of a lost art. So I love that personal connection. And I love too, when you said your own little custom cozy library, because it does, they make it personal, right? I know the books that you like to read, and I maybe see one come across and maybe I tell you about it because I know you like that. So that's a great thing to remember. And I would agree with you too, that our colleagues are really here to serve the public. So that's really been a wonderful thing. I like the how can I help you? That's going to be my middle name too. Any other thoughts? Anything else that you would like to share? You've covered so much. You've done such a great job. I just didn't know if there's anything you wanted to touch on.
I guess I would invite people to visit our website, see what kind of resources are available to them, or stop into any one of the 16 branches of the Monroe County Library System. Give a friendly wave or toot toot to your bookmobile staff or outreach services vehicles as you see them on the road. Not racing, but just, safely driving to their next destination.
We need one of those "How's my driving" stickers on the back of those.
Perhaps.
That's really funny. But yeah, I always encourage to go to the calendar because we have so many great programs at the library. I always say that, this week is next week's last week because this will air next week, but we will have some closures coming up at the end of the month so just also make sure you're checking our website, my MCLS, for some of our holiday closure times, and always just you can call the library, make sure it's open before you come over.
I would also like to say, while we have a lot of holiday programs going on, in November and December, a plethora of those. And lots of those that you're going to see online will be Santa's workshop or the downtown tree lighting, which was always one of my kids' favorite events, lots of crafts and baking things. But also, people may be interested to know we have a lot of diversity programs as well as, or in addition to, what I would call traditional Christmas programs. A public library holiday program to educate and inform people about Diwali. And then an upcoming one is going to be presented about Kwanzaa. The Bookmobile is going to, and I'm going to say this poorly because I do not speak Spanish, but I think it's Dia de Reyes. It's a Three Kings celebration for the Latinx community. So in addition to the traditional Christmas items that you have come to know and love at your library, we're always we want to be in tune with the needs of our community. And so there's a lot of diverse programs available as well.
Again, something for everyone, ties it all in. But yeah, we don't ever want anyone to not feel like they're included. And again, if you have a program that you think, why have I never seen this at the library? You may just be the presenter we need, or you may put us in touch with someone. So I always tell people that, we want to buy what you want to read, watch, and listen to. We want to host what you want to attend and share and tell your friends about. So really, we are driven by the public. So I really feel like driven. See what I did there? Driven.
Very funny.
And I always feel like make sure you're sharing the things that you would like to happen. And speaking of sharing, we are doing at the Ellis Library and Reference Center a show and tell for the Civil War enthusiasts on Thursday, December 14th at 7:00. And the Tuesday before that, on Tuesday, December 12th, is going to be there's a big holiday party that goes on here at the Ellis Library where they have all kinds of crafts and events and a movie and traditional things going on all around the building. It's for the whole family. We have something for everyone here where you can make and take projects, and there'll be snacks, and that's a great time too. And again, there's so much more. I'm just hitting a couple of them because, again, I know as it gets close to the end of the year, people are traveling and they're maybe not, but definitely check the library out. What about you, Adrian? What do you have going on in Bedford, or do you have any final questions for Barbra?
I'm good, but thanks.
You want to share about any of your programs, or are you just wrapping it up?
I don't have a list of our programs in front of me, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anything else from you, Barbra?
No, thank you very much for hosting me. It was a pleasure to be on your podcast. And I appreciate the opportunity to tell more people. I appreciate the opportunity to tell anyone in any way how fabulous the Monroe County Library System is.
I concur. And we loved having you. You've been lovely as always. So thank you for joining us and taking time out of your day. So thank you very much.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And this has been In the Library with
Marsha
and Adrian and our special guest,
Barbra Krueger.
Yay!